Hello and happy Wednesday. Today is a solo wedding tip episode for the Busy Bride podcast. I'm coming to you to talk all about 4 things your wedding photographer wants you to know about your ceremony and your ceremony photos. 4 tips that will help you get the best ceremony photos possible on your wedding day. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the Busy Bride podcast. I'm your host, Gabriella Marie, and I created this podcast to help you research vendors and learn valuable advice as you plan the most special and true to you wedding day of your dreams. Let's get started.
Okay, let's talk wedding ceremonies. As always, I would like to put a disclaimer out there first that by far the most important thing that happens on your wedding day is that you get married to the love of your life. Everything else is minor details and pales in comparison to that fact. But I know that wedding days are monumental and have so many purposes besides the main one of getting married that you're putting so much time, effort, thought, and money into designing. And it's a special day, and you want your photos to reflect that. So that is why I'm giving you these tips. These tips are specifically to get the best photos possible of your ceremony. And they're tips to reflect how you feel during your ceremony and to capture the emotion during your ceremony. It's not telling you to do anything like fake or that doesn't feel authentic or real. It's just tips to get you the best photos that reflect how you feel during the ceremony. So let's get into it. Tip number 1, when you walk down the aisle, please look up. If you are uncomfortable in front of attention or you don't like being the center of attention, you feel the eyes of people on you, maybe the moment itself is overwhelming because you're about to get freaking married, it can be really easy to want to look down at the ground. That's very human nature thing to do when you want to direct attention away from yourself. If you feel overwhelmed in the moment, if you just look down. However, in your wedding pictures, that means when you walk down the aisle, you're looking at the ground instead of looking up at the person you're about to marry. And for the photos, that means that the photos don't get to see your whole face the whole time you're walking down the aisle. And you want your face to be seen when you're walking down the aisle. You want the look in your eyes when you're making eye contact with the person you're marrying, maybe even for the first time that day. You want to see all of the emotion on your face and not have it being blocked because your face is angled away from the camera. So making sure you look up when you walked in the aisle is a pretty easy tip to do, but it can be hard to remember day of. So just try and um, give yourself some sort of cue to just lock eyes with the person you're marrying. Like, lock eyes with your person and just keep on looking at them. If you don't like attention, don't look around you. Don't look at your friends who are waving. Don't look at your family members who are smiling or crying. Just keep your eyes locked on that person. If you do love the center of attention, great. Just make sure you keep looking up. But also, it could be easy to look around at everybody who's saying hello to you or waving or smiling in the aisles, like your friends and family, and then you're not looking at the person you're marrying as you walk down the aisle. So that could be another thing too. If you love seeing people and you love you know connecting and you're more extroverted. So yeah, tip is to look up and look at your person when you walk down the aisle. You can still look around. That's okay, but just make sure there's a couple heartbeats at least for your locking eyes with your person and internalizing the fact that you are about to get married. Okay, number 2 is to stand center stage for the vows. So you've chosen this venue specifically. You've chosen this ceremony spot. It's beautiful. You've crafted this gorgeous arbor. Maybe someone in your family or friend group built the arbor for you. But one simple thing can throw all of the photos off, and that's not being centered. This happens a lot with outdoor weddings, not so much with indoor weddings when there's a very specific spot to stand. Um, but it can be really easy to do. You've got so much going through your head. You're about to commit yourself to the love of your life for forever. Your favorite people who you may not have seen in a long time are cheering you on. making sure you look around and center yourself is the last thing on your mind. So instead, I recommend either marking like an X on the ground with tape, something where you can just like see it, have a visual cue, and be like, okay, this is where I stand. Or have the officiant make sure they are standing fully centered when you walk down the aisle, so that way you don't have to remember to stand anywhere. It just comes naturally. So this is again a minor detail, but in the pictures of a straight on shot of your ceremony, you can tell if you are standing slightly off, and that may, not have the effect of the arbor that you put time into designing that you were hoping for. So I hope that makes sense. Tip number 3 is probably one of the best tips here. It is to savor your first kiss as a married couple. Like, soak it in. Kiss with all your might. Have a couple first kisses. Just kiss your person. You get this moment once. You deserve to savor it. Plus, on the photo side, a quick smooch is very risky for capturing on camera. Cameras are awesome nowadays, and they have super quick shutter speeds to minimize the risk of missing a fleeting moment like this, which means I can like take a lot of pictures in a short amount of time, but still hold the kiss for like a couple heartbeats, or have like 2 or 3 kisses in a row if that's like something you guys do. I know some couples are like kiss, 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 kiss instead of like holding a kiss, like whatever you want to do. But savor it. This is your moment. Just don't worry about what anybody else is seeing. Don't worry about what anybody else is thinking. Just kiss your dang person. And while we're on the topic of kissing, since this is a wedding podcast, number 4 is to share another kiss while you recess back down the aisle. I'm not sure if that's how you like if it's the same recess as in school, like when you go out to recess, or if it's recess. I don't know. When you walk back down the aisle as a married couple, share another kiss. Um, because why not? This is just an extra fun tip. This doesn't really affect your pictures, but it adds a really cool picture to your gallery. This I cannot emphasize how awesome this moment is going to be. Like, it makes for a great picture, doing a dip kiss with your people cheering you on both sides, but like another opportunity to kiss your new spouse. Come on. It's gotta be awesome. Some people here choose to do a dip kiss, which is really fun. Some people are surprised when their partner does a dip kiss with them. Some people just kind of step in and do a nice little smooch. But it's a fun celebratory picture to have, and it's really great to include in your gallery. Um, you'll have, quite a few kissing pictures throughout the day, included in your gallery, at least with, the first kiss. With this kiss, recessing back down the aisle. If you do any wedding portraits that involve kissing, but these are the only 2 kisses that like have a moment attached to them, if that makes sense. So that's why I suggest doing this. And let's do a bonus tip. Let's do a bonus tip number 5 while we're on the topic is the reverse first kiss. This is really cool. It usually happens when there's a second photographer, which um, now moving forward, like most of my packages or all for standard weddings have a second photographer. That allows me to get like the general like standard first kiss picture, but the second photographer can go behind you, like right as the ceremony is about to end and the officiant pronounces you as a married couple. Um, when you go in for your kiss, the second photographer can go behind you and get a picture of you guys kissing with all of your people cheering you on behind you. So everybody who's sitting there as guests, your family in front, your friends behind them, cheering you on for your first kiss. It's a really, really cool option to have. It's a really cool picture to include in your gallery to print out and hang up, because you get to see more context of like where that kiss is happening and what it signifies. So that would be my bonus tip number 5 is to consider a reverse first kiss picture. And this one is dependent on the tip about savoring your first kiss and making sure you hold it, maybe having a couple kisses there. This allows the main photographer to get the standard photo of you guys kissing at the altar or the arbor, and then the second photographer to also get the picture with everybody cheering behind you. and it really just needs to be a couple seconds, but it that is really hard to do the reverse first kiss if the first kiss is like a quick smooch. So things to think about there. I think I've said the word kiss maybe 100 times this very short episode, but you know it's a wedding podcast and you deserve to hear these tips, so I don't mind. I hope you found some of these tips helpful. I'm going to run through them one more time. First one, when you're walking down the aisle, make sure you look up, look at your person. Don't look at the ground. You can look around at your people, but not too much. Just lock eyes on your person when you walk down the aisle. That way, the photos can show all of the emotion that you're having in that moment. Tip number 2 is to stand center stage for the vows. Make sure you're standing centered for the arbor, for wherever you've chosen. You can either put like a little taped X on the ground as a visual marking, or just make sure your officiant is like fully center so that you guys are naturally centered then. Tip number 3 is to savor your first kiss. Let it linger, let hold it, like have a couple first kisses. Number 4 is to share another kiss when you walk back down the aisle as a married couple. And the bonus tip number 5 is to consider a reverse first kiss picture. So maybe now I've hit the 100 mark for saying the word kiss, but I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, if you loved it, please share this to your Instagram story. You can tag me at Gabriella Marie Audi. You can also share this episode with anybody you know who's getting married soon. And also, if you were like, wow, this is freaking awesome, I would love if you would leave a 5-star rating and review. That would be the world, would mean the world to me. I read every single review that comes through, and it really helps push this podcast out to potential brides and people who could use the advice while planning their wedding. So thanks so much for listening. Now go hug your person. I'll see you next Wednesday.